What's up, everybody? My name is Gabriel, and welcome to The Inner Beast. I want to continue following up on the last conversation that I had with you guys, which was about attaining inner peace. I've actually attained inner peace. I'm at peace with myself 100%. I learned to become at peace with myself actually while I was in prison. Now, just because I'm at peace with myself doesn't mean that I'm not at war with the world. If you watch any of my content, you will find that that is definitely true. But as far as for myself, I have inner peace. Like I'm completely 100% at peace with myself, with every single part of myself, including my shadows and my flaws. So I think it's something that's imperative that each person attempts to try to learn. And since it's something that I've actually gone through myself, I feel that it's a good place that I can start to try and have an impact on the world at large. Now, I feel that it's very, very, very important that we discuss something in the beginning of this first, and then I'll go into that more into that. If you disagree with anything that I'm saying, don't go into my comments and tell me how I'm wrong. Oh, you're wrong because of blah, 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 blah. I've actually had a number of conversations with a number of monks. Now, monks are pacifists. I'm not a pacifist, not at all. I did not gain inner peace by putting down my sword. I gained inner peace by sharpening it, by reforging it, retempering it, reshaping it, and sharpening it again. That was how I gained inner peace. However, I've had a number of conversations with monks, and those guys are all pacifists. And through the conversations that we had, I learned, I don't know if they necessarily learned along with me, I just know that I understood through our conversations that there's a bunch of paths to get to the top of the mountain. It's only when you're at the bottom of the mountain that you have to choose one to get to the top. So you can be a pacifist to gain inner peace. You can also not be a pacifist and be an absolute fucking warrior. You can even be a savage in many ways and still gain inner peace. I promise you. When you're when you're okay with your shadow self, with your animus and all those things, whatever you guys want to call it, that's part of gaining inner peace. It doesn't mean that you have to push those things away or repress them. That is not part of inner peace. I give you my word. Also, if you have to get into people's comments and be like, you're absolutely wrong because of blah, 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 blah. The one thing I'm definitely going to know for sure is you're not at inner peace with yourself. Because you would understand if you were at peace with yourself that it's just something that I don't personally think is correct for me. Doesn't mean that it's not correct for other people. So I just want to make sure that we cover that right off the bat. Don't try to tell me that I'm absolutely wrong because I know I'm not. I've had many conversations with myself, number one, that proves that that's different. Also, I have absolute proof, guys. My past life, the way that I lived my life before, is definitely 100% proof that I was not always at peace with myself. I've been to prison twice. And so I was definitely not at peace with myself. And the way that I've lived my life over the last probably 2 decades definitely proves that something obviously changed dramatically. And I can tell you what it is. That's going to be part of what we're going to talk about. So I just wanted to get that out of the way real quick. Now, I try to think about how I would begin something like this. I'm not going to ever sell a course. YouTube is not where I plan to make my money. So I don't need to sell a course and I don't need to monetize videos or I don't need to do any of that other stuff. I was like, there's a number of things that I can definitely point out, but I thought a good place to start would be something that you guys I can give you an actual exercise that you can actually begin with. Doesn't mean that this is step one. I don't really know that there's a step one. I know that there's probably the first realization that you have. I know what that is most likely, but I don't really think there's a step one. I think it's all just like as you come in contact with the information and you're able to put it to use for yourself and with yourself and then able to have answer questions that you have with yourself, whether you know that or not, is probably just the most important thing. So I decided to start in a place where I can actually give you an exercise that I actually use myself in order to gain, one of the parts that are very important for inner peace. And I can guarantee you it is. Now, I have a standard greeting or response, I guess you can say, when people ask me, oh man, how are you or how are you feeling today? My standard response is inordinately blessed as always. Now, people that know me and know me for a while, they get to love to hearing me say it, right? So much so that if I'm doing something else, if I'm answering an email and I'm not really paying attention, I'm like, oh, I'm good, thank you, or whatever. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I apologize, inordinately blessed as always. And most people will say the as always with me. Now, Well, I say it so much though that I even say it to like people at the store, when I'm going to the mechanic, like everything. Now, a lot of times it'll cause people to jolt to a stop right off the bat when I say it. And sometimes they'll say something in response to that very first time, but sometimes it'll take a few times if you know for me to go back and forth. So even my doctor, who loves me, she told me when I went to see her just recently, she was like, when you know, I thought of you this morning when I know you're gonna come in. She's like, I have an extra. I'm more conscious of having a really good day because maybe 2 months ago or something like that, she came into like our 5th meeting or something like that. Right away, she was like, "Hey, Gabriel, you know what? I wanted to thank you." And I was like, "Oh, right on. For what?" And she was like, that conversation that we had, because when I said the inordinately blessed as always thing, she was like, "That is so cool. I like that." And I hit her with the same thing that I hit everybody with when we have a deeper conversation. I'm like, "Well, did you wake up today?" And they're like, everybody, of course you did. I'm speaking to you, right? So they're like, "Yeah, of course." And I'm like, "All right, did everybody that you know and love wake up today?" They're like, "Yes, they did." I'm like, "Then today is an absolutely blessed day because you're not always going to have a day like that. Eventually, a day is going to come where someone that you know and love doesn't make it through the day. And that's going to be a difficult day. So any day that doesn't involve something that traumatic and that bad is probably going to be a fairly good day. Anything outside of that is probably just going to be absolute gravy. Doesn't mean that you're not going to get mad throughout the day. Doesn't mean that you're not going to get frustrated. Doesn't mean that, you know, it's not going to be a hard or a difficult day. It's just not going to be a bad day. And that's because that's going to be a bad day when that happens. So she thanked me for that. She was like, you know, that kind of realization really helped me and changed me and my attitude towards things. She's like, so I'm constantly trying to use your same response and everything. So that's a consistency, right? That being said, I have one person in my life who I'm not going to call out because I don't want them to feel like they're being called out. But this person is extraordinarily close to me, extremely close to me. And when my level of positivity towards this person, they respond with that I have toxic positivity. Toxic positivity. I assure you guys, I'm not positive all damn day. I am positive all day. But I also promise that I will lay the hammer down in a heartbeat if it needs to be. Whether it's regards to my business, my personal life, boundaries, doesn't matter. I assure you, I'm very quick to put the hammer down. I'm also very quick to call on some bullshit. So I'm not like toxically positive where everything is just hunky-dory and hamburgers and French fries and rainbows and glitter and everything great and wonderful in the world all day long. I promise you, that's not how I think. That's not how I live my life. But I am recognized how my life is great every single day, even if I'm having a hard or a difficult day. Now, one of the ways that I came to do this is the exercise that I use that I'm about to give to you. Gratitude is going to be one of the most important things that you're going to need to learn. I give you my word. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. Gratitude. And I mean real, true gratitude that's like deep in your soul, deep in your heart, something that you actually feel the gratitude towards. Now, I don't know where I got it from. I have zero clue. It's possible that I thought it up myself, but I don't think so. I think I got it from somewhere. And I think it said initially that I was supposed to do it for 30 days. So I got a calendar. It told me whatever it was, wherever I got it from, the point was for 30 days, I was supposed to write something down that I had gratitude for. Now I want you to understand, while I did this, I was in prison. And at the time that I was in prison, I had a life sentence. During that period of time, they told me that I was supposed to die in prison, right? And this is still this type of stuff that I'm going through. The important part of it is like, I did learn while I was in prison and while I was going through all these things. And I was even in they called the facility that I was in gladiator school. I was in it in the 90s and it was way worse back then. So when I was in it this last time, it wasn't shit, but it's still a terrible facility. Just the facility itself is just nothing but bad energy. But I was in this facility, which is a horrible facility, and I still learned to see an incalculable amount of beauty in my life and that I was surrounded by at all points in time. And it was because I learned to feel and like truly feel and recognize the things that I should be grateful for. So this thing said to get a calendar, and so I got a calendar. I probably went to the chaplain or something. I don't know. A calendar, you don't need a calendar in prison. Every day is the same. It's Groundhog Day, right? The only thing is like for someone like myself who works out a lot, you know, it's leg day, chest day, rest day, whatever. So I went and got a calendar, and I know for the first couple of days, right? Let's even give me 2 weeks. It was fairly easy to just write something to be grateful for. You know, I'm grateful for my mom. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for, you know, this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my mind. I remember it's different things, right? So let's even give me 2 weeks, even though I don't think it was fully 2 weeks. But after about 2 weeks, I started having a little bit of a problem thinking about things that I should be grateful for or feel gratitude towards and writing it down. So I gave myself a little bit of an out, and I'm going to give you the same out. If you truly feel like that you're grateful for something, then you can write it more than once. But you have to truly feel it in your inside, like in your soul, like you're truly grateful for something. And if you can't come up with nothing, then I guess go ahead and skip that day. But you should be able to find something. You have something tells me that your life, since it's out here in the free world, while it's not problem free, someone who's just sitting around and watching YouTube, whether this is one of the few videos you watch a day or a week, whether it's only because it's late at night or you only watch it while you're watching television or while you're making your bed in the morning or whatever, somebody who's just sitting around watching YouTube in the free world, your life isn't going to be more difficult than somebody who is in prison for a life sentence. Just going to guess. Just going to go with that. Doesn't mean your life isn't difficult. Doesn't mean your life isn't hard. I'm just saying that you have a whole lot more options available to you in order to be able to find things to be grateful for. So you were supposed to do it for 30 days, but I would not encourage 30 days. It's not enough time to like really learn how to feel gratitude and to recognize the things that you should be grateful for. Do it for a year. And I say the same thing. Don't use it in your fucking phone. Put your damn phone down. Get an actual calendar. I don't care if you have to just write it down on a piece of paper, draw a calendar on a piece of paper. And every single day, man, you have to find something to be grateful for on that day. And I don't mean just like writing it. Like you don't actually feel it, but I'm grateful for my best friend. But you don't really feel grateful for your best friend. Like if your best friend did something for you that day and you're like, man, nobody remembered that today was, I had a really bad day. Something bad happened to me on this day 5 years ago. It's a very difficult day for me, but my best friend remembered. And my best friend came through and she brought me or he brought me this or did that for me or whatever. That's a day that you're really going to feel that gratitude towards that person, right? So that's when you write it down. It's like when it doesn't need to be somebody doing something from you either. Over time, that's going to be the thing. You're going to realize that nobody has to do anything for you to recognize things that you have to be grateful for. Nobody has to, just learn. I went from having a hard time trying to think about things or people or whatever that I should be grateful for. And I was able to just pull those things out of the air. I was able to recognize things that I was grateful for, like in a heartbeat, like it just started to happen all the time. And instead of having one thing, I had the ability to choose one thing over a couple. And it could be just as simple as one day I was sitting outside and I was watching the sun and I had a good seat on where I could see the sun going down in the yard, in this little tiny yard that we had. Because the big yard was already closed for the day, but there's this little tiny yard that you could go out. And I had a seat at the end of this bench and it just gave me and I just sat there and I just watched the sun go down. And I had this feeling of like just peace. And I was watching the beauty of it. And I was just really grateful for life in general at that point in time. And so I was able to choose that was just like one of 5 things that day. You cannot, it's very difficult. You'll be surprised. As much as you probably think that you might have a great attitude, if you think that you have a great attitude, when you have to write down things that you're grateful for, eventually you're going to run out of things and it's going to be crazy, right? Because even if you're a highly grateful person, you're going to realize like, man, it's hard for me to just keep writing things down. How is it so hard to keep writing things down? If you do it for a year, you train yourself to start recognizing all the little things that are happening that you can be grateful for. You don't have to be upset about how bad life is in totality all the time. Life can be difficult. Life can be hard. I promise you, my life was difficult. My life was hard. It wasn't just sunshine and rainbows all day, but I was still finding like all these things to be grateful for throughout all that, like all the hatred that I was surrounded by, the violence that I was surrounded by, just the pure ugliness that I was surrounded by. I was able to start pulling just all these moments that I was actually grateful for my life or for what I was experiencing or for whatever it was during that time. And that year of doing that every single day trained me to be able to do it, to where I could just pull things to be grateful for just out of my life, my daily experience with life. Like I didn't have to make it up. I didn't have to think hard about it. So I still don't now. I may not write that stuff down, and that was a very long time ago. That was like probably, I don't know, 2 decades ago or something like that I did that exercise. But I did it for a whole year, and it trained me to be able to like just recognize moments of gratitude. And I'm able to do it all the time in my life now. Like that still sticks with me. Something, I'll be doing something and something will just hit me and I'll just feel this wonderful. Sometimes, man, I'll be driving home, and oftentimes it's at night. It's crazy. But sometimes it'll be during the day, and I'll just be having a really good drive home or wherever I'm going. Oftentimes it's home from the gym. And I'll want to just keep driving. But I don't really have anywhere to go to just keep driving out of the state or anything, or the city or whatever. So there's no reason to do that, because I recognize, like, if I took off and let's just say, drove to the end of the state and came back, I'm gonna be extremely tired. I'm gonna wish I hadn't done that. And then the next day I'm gonna be hella tired and I'm gonna wish I hadn't done it. But in the moment, like, I just feel like I'm so happy to just be, just driving and just experiencing that moment in life where the sun is going down or whatever the case is. And so I have those experiences all the time. And so when something new comes into my life, or something that I have a business, I've been working on this business for ever in 3 days. And so when something happens in it, like, I'm able to recognize like how deeply I feel towards making these things happen. Right? Where other people, they may feel it. I feel like they don't always, I don't feel like, I'm not gonna say other people, I'm gonna say me. Had I never gone through that experience, have I never learned to train myself like that, I don't know that I would have experienced the things that I'm experiencing with the business that I'm building to the depth that I actually do. And I'm so grateful that I do. So this is the exercise that I'm giving you. And this is one of the things that I'm telling you, man. In order to gain inner peace, you really have to learn how to be grateful, because you have to learn to understand like how wonderful your life is, even in the midst of all the problems and hardships that you have going on. Everybody has hardships and problems. Everyone has hardships and problems. I don't care if you're a billionaire, that you have hardships and problems. Everything is not always rainbows and sunshine. At least I hope to God not. If your life is nothing but rainbows and sunshine, you're actually, man, I don't believe you can find inner peace. I don't think so. You have to go, because every blessing, I say you have to accept the bumps and bruises with every blessing. That's how I wrote that. So I believe and truly believe that every blessing, it comes with bumps and bruises. And this is how, and you have to accept those things. You can't just concentrate on the bump and the bruise or the cut or the wound. You have to look beyond, like, okay, what was the lesson that I got from it? Or whatever the case may be. Now that's what I'm going to give you guys today. So I'm going to end that here. Get an actual calendar, hang it up somewhere, put it on your desk, put it by your bed, whatever you got to do, put it on the couch while you're watching TV or YouTube, whatever. And then every single day, your job is to find something that you're actually grateful for. And I mean truly, truly, truly grateful for. And you will find, man, no matter how hard life is, no matter how difficult life is, you will find that you consistently and constantly, every single day, have numerous things to actually be very grateful for. And when you recognize those things when they're happening, man, they become so much more valuable, because you're actually living in that moment instead of recognizing later, like, oh, that was a really good moment. Like, you're able to live in that moment while it's happening. So that's going to be the first lesson that I'm going to give you guys. Man, gratitude is going to be 100%, 100% invaluable towards gaining inner peace. And I can give you my word on this. That doesn't mean that there isn't other ways to go about this. I'm telling you how I did it. And I did it in some of the worst circumstances that you can possibly think of. Prison is the second most radical society known to man. War is the number one. And I was in prison, and I wasn't in PC. I wasn't getting checked. I wasn't paying rent. I wasn't doing any of those things. I was what is called a mainliner. I had a group of individuals that I was responsible to and for, and I had to show up every single day. And if something cracked or something popped, I would be on the front lines. So I was in the mix and in the midst of all the dumb shit. So I'm not trying, so this isn't me like somebody coming like, oh, well, I was in PC and I was learning to do this and I went through that. No. I was in the middle of the chaos. And I still learned to do this for myself. So gratitude is where we're going to leave it today. That's the lesson that I'm going to give you today. I encourage you, go get a damn calendar. Get a real calendar. Buy it. Get a pen. Most of you guys probably don't have a damn pen probably I feel like at this time. And then write one down every day. And you got to truly feel it, man. You got to really do it. And I encourage you to do it for a minimum of a year, like the whole year. Don't feel like just because you kind of got it, you can stop. A good example of this is, for a long time, what I learned to do was write down my dreams. And what's crazy is the more you write your dreams down, the better you get at remembering them. I would be like in the beginning, I had to write dreams down right away, as soon as I woke up, right? After about like 3 months, I was able to remember multiple dreams. And then it went from like, I could just write a couple of words. First I had to write them down when I woke up. Then it went to a point where I could just write a couple of keywords. And when I came back to it, I would have forgotten it. I had completely forgotten when I come back to my cell. And then like hours later after the gym or whatever, and I would see the keywords and boom, it would all come back. I'm like, oh, all the way to the point where I could remember multiple dreams every single night. And I could come back at night. I could come back at night and write all of them down, because I had a typewriter, write all of them down, and I could remember everything throughout the entire day. But after a few months of doing that, let's say I did it for like 6 months, I think. The thing I have is like that thick. After maybe 6 months of doing that and I stopped, I can't do it now. You see what I'm saying? Like, you really got to give enough time for this thing to like really seep into who you are, so that it changes like your neurochemistry, basically. Gives you different neural pathways, and then you just got to strengthen those every single day. So even after the year, like I said, I recognize moments when they pop up, and I live in those moments. I live in those moments. So those moments don't escape me anymore. So that's what we're going to end with today. My name is Gabriel. This is Inner Beast. On your way, follow us so you can go from Inner Beast, so you can turn around and face all of your inner demons and gain inner peace. That's going to be the game plan for the next few months. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know how I'm going to do it all. You guys are going to have to see. We're going to find out together. So let's go on this journey together, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video.